Hello and welcome to Southeastern 16's preview of Alabama and Louisiana Monroe. I'm your host, Chris Lee at Southeastern 16, joined by Blake Lovell. You can catch this game 6:45 Central on the SEC Network. Blake, what do we got at our friends at FanDuel? What do they have on this game?
Well, panic, chaos.
Panic.
No, Alabama a 36.5-point favorite in this one against UL Monroe. The over/under at 50.5 right now at our friends at FanDuel, and I'm sure there will be some action on this one based on the Week 1 outcome for the Crimson Tide. We will see if people believe that the Tide may come in with sort of the hangover effect, or will they come in with something to prove and maybe eclipse this 36.5 number against a UL Monroe team that could be interesting. They were picked last in the West Division in the preseason conference awards there, but Alabama should take care of business, Chris. Not to spoil our picks this early, but it's at least an interesting setup for the Tide based on Week 1.
Yeah, ULM, of course, everybody remembers the Nick Saban game way back when. I think, in spite of last week, Alabama's in a different place as a program than that team. A little bit about the Warhawks, coached by Brian Vincent, who used to be at UAB for a spell, beat St. Francis last week, which is an FCS team. ULM rushed for 311 yards and held St. Francis to 131. But, hey, look, this game's about Alabama and how it answers the bell. I mean, Alabama was my preseason national championship pick, and Alabama can still attain a lot of its goals. But, man, it cannot play the way it did last week. The lack of intensity, the lack of focus, couldn't stop the run. I mean, anything and everything that you could have dialed up in a nightmare scenario for Alabama last week, I felt like came true.
I mean, it's like in a game of concerns. Like, I think this is like one of those where you're coming out of it, and trust me, we know it. All the talk the past 4 days, everybody's talked about the press conference, and everybody's talked about the response to this and that, and just the whole thing surrounding it. But like, I think this is obviously the kind of game where you're just coming in with like, what is the biggest question? Like, everyone has different questions, but it's like, what is the biggest question? And I think it's, again, how do they respond to something like that? Like the Nick Saban effect is something where like you always knew how Nick Saban's teams were going to respond. If there was ever a situation like that, right, you kind of knew what the response was going to be. But it's a different era, and I think it's just kind of seeing, when you have, I mean, let's call it what it is. Like there were just how many people, Chris, were celebrating last week that weren't Alabama fans. They were just,
Yeah.
It was the highlight of the start of college football season for people that don't support the Alabama Crimson Tide. And it's just one of those where, again, like you're not used to seeing Alabama in that position. And, it's like now you go into a game like this. Like, what do you want to see from all these different sort of potential concerns that could be season long that you saw in one game? Is there going to be anything that just kind of stays there for a game like this against an opponent you should absolutely dominate? And I think that's it. Like, you want to see, I don't know, like to me, it's more of just like the mindset type thing and how they approach this game. You don't want to see them come out, like I said a minute ago, be sluggish and all this other stuff, because that will be a way bigger concern if that's how they respond in a game like this.
Yeah, this is a week where the world is going to come crashing down on Alabama. I was listening to Paul Feinbaum Monday. It went exactly as you would have expected. Kalen DeBoer is in a spot right now that anything and everything he says is going to be picked apart. So handling that is number one. Yeah, but let's go back to preseason, okay? I thought Alabama was a team that was loaded on both lines of scrimmage, had a lot of confidence in Ty Simpson. There's a lot of new quarterbacks, but thought he was a guy that had a shot to get the job done. Ryan Williams is one of the most talented players, not just receivers, but players in the country, although it's been a while since he threw in a standout performance. And listening to football people talk, I listened to David Pollock this morning, and he talked about the hustle factor. He said, well, and he wasn't defending Alabama all the way, but he said a lot of teams, you'll pick up stuff during the season or somebody dogged it, on a play or two. And I don't know that that's the right synopsis. I think the effort probably wasn't there, but he was just pointing that out. And Tyler Siskey, a guy that I respect and listen to a lot, was talking about it, though. He said there was a lack of intensity and focus and things like that. And I think the question is the discipline that Nick Saban had, all those things. And a lot of that's what drove Nick Saban out of the game. Those things are now showing up at Alabama's doorstep and are conversation pieces every week. So to me, this is about how does Alabama answer the bell? Does it play a clean game, without a ton of penalties? Does it control the lines of scrimmage, which it didn't do last week? I mean, Alabama is going to win this game, but I want to see Alabama looking more like the Alabama we thought. I want to see, Ty Simpson make some plays. I want to see some of the things that we thought we would show up before the season show up here in this one.
Well, you said the line of scrimmage, and I feel like anytime we have games like this where an SEC team's favored by like 5 or more touchdowns, that's always the separator. Outside of just like playmakers and all that, it's the separator is just throughout the 60 minutes. The other team just simply can't keep up. That they just get worn down when it comes to the play on the offensive line, the defensive line. Now Phil Steele, I will tell you in my notes for the Warhawks here, has it as potentially their best offensive team since 2019. Remember though, there's no Ahmad Hardy who's at Missouri now. But he says he's kind of pointing out their offensive line and improved defensive line. I think their secondary is their highest ranked position he has in terms of the Sun Belt position rankings. But okay, it's not a team that looks like a complete pushover up front. So that's where, again, you want to see Alabama sort of establish that. And obviously, too, like injury-wise, I think Ryan Williams, still day-to-day, I think is what they've said on that coming out of it. I mean, Chris, is there any reason to play him in a game like this? But I don't know. Other than chasing Heisman numbers or just maybe also like, hey, we just got to get some consistency going. But yeah, I think he's still day-to-day right now. So,
yeah, I think the thing you want to do if you're Alabama, the nightmare scenario would be ULM just keeps converting first downs. Again, it ran for 311 yards on 42 carries. That was St. Francis. This is Alabama. But, hey, 3 yards here, 4 yards there, 4 yards there, you got a first down. Your offense is not on the field. Your defense is on the field. I don't think that's going to happen, but I also didn't expect Alabama to come in and lay the egg at late in Tuscaloosa either. So I'm just going to say if this game is closer than we think it should be, I think that's your recipe for ULM. But, yeah, I think this one, again, it's just about Alabama. It's got to play the ball that I thought it would have. And I want to see Alabama show a power rushing game. I just feel like it's been a while since we saw that.
Yeah, well, we'll see how it plays out. We'll get to our picks here shortly. But, yeah, stat-wise, if you need a reminder, Ty Simpson was 23 of 43, 254 against Florida State, had a couple touchdowns. Then he got sacked 3 times, I believe it was. And then Jeremy Bernard, who was kind of there wasn't a lot of standouts, I guess you could say, of a game like that, but 8 receptions, 146 in that game. And like we said, Ryan Williams went out with the concussion in the protocol, listed as day-to-day. So those are some things maybe of note to track on the offense outside of what Chris mentioned, seeing how the running game kind of does potentially in a game like this. All right, before we get into our picks, and maybe it'll be more about our picks for how we think this game will unfold versus who we're picking, let's quickly tell you about the friends who support our channel, and that is GameTime Sidekicks, GameTimeSidekicks.com, officially licensed stainless steel drinkware. All SEC schools, over 350 more universities there as well. UL Monroe fans, I assume they've got some for you. Check it out. Everything from stainless steel sippy cups, tumblers, 40-ounce bottles, and shaker cups. SE16 for 20% discount to our viewers. We'll put that link in the promo code in the description as well. ROKFORM, ROKFORM.com. World's strongest magnetic phone case. Boy, Chris, if some Alabama fans had that phone case last week, they got tossed around a little bit. Extreme protection, though, so no worries. Super strong magnets, rock lock secure mounting. They've got the phone case accessories. Got some golf stuff there, too, and a lot more. SEC25 for 25% off. SEC25, 25% off. ROKFORM.com. And our new sponsor, Hovey Dry Goods, your new favorite hat. Look no further than the Hovey hats for high-quality headwear with a great fit and unique designs. We got a promo code coming soon, but unfortunately, Chris, Alabama fans, or this may be one of the few bright spots you can take out of it, they've discounted the Alabama hats this week as our bad beat team of the week based on how week 1 went. You can get Alabama hats over there. I think 15% off, I believe. It is if you're an Alabama fan. So HovieDryGoods.com. All right, Chris, we got to make some picks on this game. We know we're picking, but maybe again. How do you see this thing unfolding?
Yeah, I think this will be the easiest game Alabama has until week 13 when it plays Eastern Illinois right before Auburn. Next week is Wisconsin, which Alabama would be about a 13.5-point favorite or so in that one by the model I put together. So this is your last chance for maybe a get-right game for a while. Then, of course, a bye in 2 weeks before Georgia. Yeah, I feel like – I know that they'll know it's St. Francis, but 311 rushing yards is something Kalen DeBoer could maybe use to get his team's attention and say, hey, these guys, we got to play hard and show up or else we can be in a battle we don't want. I don't have any clue what to expect because I didn't think Alabama was going to do what it did a week ago. But my guess is I still think there's a good ball team in here. I still think there's a good coaching staff in here. And I think that comes to the top. I have no idea where Alabama will cover the spread or not, but I'd be surprised if it's not a blowout.
Yeah, the fact that you're like, I'm not sure if they're going to cover the spread. I think that's where people are, though, right now. It's like, I think there is a little more uncertainty as to how they respond with this one. As you mentioned earlier, yes, if we're going to bring up the statistical trends here, obviously the upset back in 2007 as a 24-point underdog in this game, UL Monroe was. But they've lost their last two against SEC teams by a combined 97-7 score. That's per our friend Phil Steele. And they're 6-11 against the spread in their last 17 games against the SEC. So there's your sort of trends for all the bettors out there. But yeah, obviously going to pick Alabama to win this one. But man, I just think it's Chris, I'm telling you, this is going to be one of those games we are absolutely going to overreact to the final score. Like if Alabama wins like 31-0, we're going to be like, it should have been 58-0. And, you know, I mean, honestly, like, isn't it like, think about that. We are absolutely going to overreact to no matter what happens here with the score. We're overreacting one way or the other. But I will say this too. Alabama hasn't lost their talent in a week. They've got plenty of talent. I think they're going to be fine. But I do think it's an important game just from a response and sort of psyche standpoint. So I'll go with that too with the Tide.
Hey, if Alabama does disappoint, the plan is you and Max are doing a late night Alabama basketball emergency podcast, right? Isn't that how it's going to go down?
We're going to hype up the Final Four run that's coming for Nate Oates and company this in 2026. So that may be what we have to do. But Alabama fans, don't worry. We'll be talking about this game. Well, hopefully it's in a good way for you. I think it will be. We will be talking about this game on Saturday when we do our late night reaction stream here on the channel, so hit that subscribe button, hit the like button as well. Turn on your notifications, and we'll have all the games covered on Saturday and multiple live shows here at the channel. So turn on those notifications, and again, check out our friends at FanDuel. Support them, all the same game parlays, the team props, the futures. It's all there. Get in on the action. Bet responsibly with our friends at FanDuel. We're out of here, Chris.
Yeah, we cover SEC football, baseball, basketball, including Rob Vaughn's baseball team, Nate Oates' basketball team. Looking forward to doing a lot of that. And, of course, got you covered through football season. So hope you'll subscribe and watch our reactions. For Blake Lovell, I'm Chris Lee. We're Southeastern 16. Thank you for watching. God bless you. We'll see you again soon.